What's going on, y'all? Manifest Mitchell here today with a video about how to build a budget. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, give me a like, and let me know what you think in those comments below. So let me start out by saying that when you're building your budget, the same principles are going to apply for everybody. However, you have to take into consideration everybody's situation is going to look a little bit different. Maybe you have kids, or you're in debt, or you're debt-free, or you have some kind of other need that you have to take care of. So make sure to kind of adjust some of these parameters to your personal situation. Let's jump right in though. The first thing that you want to do when you're building a budget is to figure out why you're building it in the first place. You know, maybe you're trying to figure out where your money's going each month. Maybe you want to get out of debt. Maybe you're trying to figure out how much you can save each month or how quickly you can go into retirement. You want to come up with a strong reason that you want to build this budget and stick to it, because the math and the calculations are really easy to figure out, maybe something like at a 5th or 6th grade algebra level, but the behavior and the practice of these habits is going to be the most challenging part. So you want to have a big enough of a why that you're doing this so that the sacrifices you're going to make and the things that you're going to have to give up are going to be worthwhile for working towards your goals. And speaking of goals, if you're anything like me and you have huge goals and dreams that you want to accomplish in your life, the goal of building my budget is to use most or all of my excess money to use to build towards my dream life. Let's jump right in though. The very first thing that you want to build into your budget and the first expenses that you want to pay for with your money is going to be your basic needs for survival. Your basic needs for survival are going to be food, shelter, utilities, clothing, and transportation. Let's start with food. If you're on a really tight budget or you're in debt, your food is going to consist of going to the grocery store, buying groceries, and cooking food at home. The food at restaurants and takeout places is overpriced because the restaurants have to pay for their overhead, paying their employees the cost of the food, and they also have to make a profit on what they're selling. So cooking at home is going to be a lot cheaper in the long run. The easiest way to calculate your food costs, as with pretty much anything that's an expense in your budget, is to keep track of all of the money that you spend on food over the course of several months. You might put all of your food purchases on one debit card, or keep your receipts, or write down every single purchase every single time you go to the grocery store, and you can kind of get an average over the course of several months of how much you spend per month at the grocery store. Next on this list is going to be shelter. Your shelter is basically going to be your rent or mortgage costs. Next, you have utilities, which is going to include your gas, electric, water, sewer, and then also your trash service. The next one, clothing, is a basic need. However, if you're on a tight budget, you really shouldn't have to buy too many clothes at all. And if you do need new clothes, definitely buy those secondhand at like thrift stores or Goodwills, or any kind of like consignment or secondhand store. The last category for your basic needs for survival is going to be your transportation costs. This is basically going to consist of your gas, your repair costs, and your payment if you have one. To calculate your gas consumption, do the same thing that I told you to do with calculating your grocery expenses. Repair costs are going to be a very long-term cost, and you may consider starting a sinking fund where you're kind of putting some money aside every single month so that when a big repair cost does come up, you've already been saving for it. The last part is going to be a car payment if you have one. Real quick, if you have a car payment, go ahead and pay that shit off just as fast as you can. Get out of debt and use that extra money that you were paying for a car payment and put that into things that are going to build wealth. The next category is going to be your recurring expenses outside of your basic needs for survival that you know you're going to have. Some examples of these might be insurance costs like car, health, renters, or personal property insurance. Also any kind of homeowners association or HOA fees and home maintenance costs. Another one is going to be the costs associated with your health needs. Maybe you have to buy a certain prescription every month, or you have a gym membership, or like physical or personal therapy sessions. I personally buy contact lenses every 6 months or a year, and I've set up a sinking fund for that so that when those expenses do come, I've already saved up for them. If you have kids, anything like their daycare or school expenses like extracurricular activities or field trips is definitely something that you're going to want to include in this part of your budget. And lastly, you definitely want to make sure to keep up with your taxes. This can come in the form of property taxes, capital gains taxes. If you're self-employed, you might owe a big chunk of money at the end of the year because you weren't paying taxes on your own business, which again, you could start a sinking fund to kind of save up and pay for these things over time. So just to recap, you want to pay for your basic needs for survival first, and then next comes kind of your recurring expenses just for day-to-day life that you know you're going to have. Now before I go on to the next category, there's kind of one that is in between these two, and that's going to be getting out of debt if you owe anybody money. My advice is to follow Dave Ramsey's debt snowball method, where you list your debts from smallest to largest. Make minimum payments on all of your debts except for the smallest, and use all the extra money that you have at the end of the month to put towards that small debt. Knock it out, move to the next debt on your debt snowball, and then just keep going up the debt snowball ladder like so. After you've gotten out of debt, it's time to start investing. The younger that you start, the more time that you have for compounding interest to take maximum effect. Investments come in all kinds of forms: rental properties, stock portfolios. Maybe you're starting your own business, investing into another business, or getting involved with personal loans. That being said, I recommend taking maybe 10 to 20% of your take-home pay almost as an initial tax on yourself and putting that into retirement accounts like 401ks and Roth IRAs. If you're saving up for a house though, you might want to wait to start those investments until you either pay cash for your house or you have a mortgage started. Past that, investments are kind of going to be your own personal preference with your financial goals, the time that you have in the market, and what options that you have available to you. All right, the last part of your budget, and oftentimes one of the most important, is going to be your fun money or the extras. Especially if you work hard, you've gotten out of debt, you're making consistent investments and building wealth, you definitely want to take some time to reward yourself and enjoy your life. I do work full-time, have other side hustles, and am aggressively saving my income. As you can see on this chart, I average about a 40, 50, or 60% savings rate relative to my income, but I make sure to include like 10% of my income or more to use just to enjoy life and have fun. How you spend this money is totally dependent on what you enjoy doing. Maybe you enjoy eating out, getting coffee, or ordering takeout, or you're big into entertainment like going to concerts and movies. I'm gonna be totally honest with you, a big chunk of this money goes towards having fun with my significant other as well. I don't necessarily feel like I need to spend too much money on myself, but I do want to enjoy my time with my significant other and kind of doing activities and enjoying things that take away from all the hard work that we've been putting in to work towards our dreams. You might also consider saving part of this extra money that you have to save for like a vacation or a weekend trip, especially when you're working so hard and you're saving every month, putting money into investments and retirement. You definitely want to get away sometimes just to take your mind off things and refresh yourself, and you'll find that when you come back, you'll just feel re-energized to continue just tackling your financial plan. The last part, and an important part that you want to do with some of this extra money, is to make sure that you're giving to others and trying to make the world a better place. Financial freedom and independence offers you the opportunity to give back and to change people's lives around you for the better. And money is one of the few tools that we have that can make a really deep impact in somebody else's life. So definitely make sure to be handing out blessings from time to time. Maybe you give a server or a hospitality worker a nice big tip, or provide a meal for a family in need, do some charity work or donate to a reputable organization. Or I'm sure you can think of some way to brighten somebody's day or improve their life in some way. All right, thanks so much for watching, y'all. Let me know in the comments below, what's in your budget? How have you slashed expenses to pay off debt quicker or save up money more quickly? And also, without tooting your own horn, what ways have you found that you've been able to give generously and maybe make a difference in someone's life or make the world a better place? All right, I'll catch y'all in the next video. See you soon.